Solstafir. One could say this is quite far away from typical Rauta content or metal in general. But we have to remember Solstafir started as a metal band. Well, even more so black metal band. However, the band has gone through their own ways and paved their own road for so many years that it feels like eternity since the band actually played some black metal. 25 years later, Solstafir is something like post-rock, or should we say post-metal maybe. That is kind of hard to define sometimes when the music is constantly changing and the band is clearly emphasizing how Icelandic they are. I mean, Iceland is, after all, a home to a artist like Björk and other, say, weirder or at least unique artists who have always been making somewhat uncommon music. And Solstafir is no exception. These are the guys who wear cowboy hats and ponchos as if there were some, I don't know, Mexican bandidos. But they are still very much an Icelandic band with their own sound, own feeling and own themes. And this, my friends, is a cover which is supposed to present Iceland as a person. If I'm not totally mistaken, this was a painting that was just found not too long time ago from a museum in England or something like that. And later on, like, hey, where is this painting coming from? I mean, why it was found in England and why it has been lost for so many years. And now it is here as a cover, which is then again very fitting for a band like Solstafir. Now, since the band has been enjoying quite a lot of success in the past few years, all the releases have been interesting and they have been packaged in a nice, cool way, and this is no exception. I guess this is nowadays one of the bigger artists of Season of Mist, and I think they have really found a home in that label because it seems like they're going hand in hand with nice support and proper ways of releasing these kind of albums. For example, this is one beautiful digipack with one really beautiful booklet, and in my opinion these are type of CD releases that really make you love the physical format. I mean, the music might sound the same even if you gave it a go with Spotify or Apple Music or Deezer or whatever. But when you have beautiful packages, the nice cover art, everything is right here to just let your hands slide through them, read maybe the lyrics, take a look at the images and all that stuff. There's something which the digital format just doesn't quite get. Anyway, let's take a look at the band's Metal Archive site. First thing we need to mention is, once again, this genre here. It started as a Viking black metal early on, then post-metal rock later on. And also, when you take a look at these lyrical themes, how they are listed here, nature and paganism early on, and later on, depression, emotions. It's kind of a weird journey, one could say, but at least what I really like about the band, even if their look is more like, hey, let's have this kind of modern version of Icelandic Mad Max look, there's something that, you know, separates the band from your typical rock and roll band, typical metal band. They're clearly doing their own stuff. Not only, of course, visually, and not only, of course, in musically, but like every aspect is very unique. And that's something that at least I really like. Now, the previous album, Drýsill, from 2017, was my favorite album of the year. I know it might have been a bit of a surprise considering that most people know that I'm kind of a black metal and death metal guy. But also other styles, you know, thrash and heavy metal and all that stuff. But what Drýsill was able to do was just deliver a beautiful piece of melancholic music. And it was kind of a genre defying, I was going to say defining, but more like genre-defying music, which again was so good just because it didn't really remind me of anything else. Now, previous albums have been quite nice too, so there's not big surprise that that album actually was so good. Endless Twilight of Codependent Love is going back to this kind of English feeling. I mean, most of here are still in Icelandic, but there are some English parts which you can just hear when you listen to the music. And it quite nicely fits the theme and doesn't really ruin that Icelandic feeling at all. Maybe it's even enriching in so many ways that they're both languages used. Now, this is somewhat different, Pedro. I mean, there's definitely a strong Icelandic vibe and definitely kind of post-metal feeling here. But even with this kind of a melancholic and going deep into darker emotions, I don't feel this is as good as whole. I mean, this is good album. Let's make it clear right away. But whereas Bedouin was clearly a, an awesome album. Let's just call it awesome. Brilliant album all in all. Endless Twilight of Codependent Love is just good. That is, from all the way through, I mean, this is almost 63 minutes. It's very, very high standard album. Production, vocals, which are obviously quite clean nowadays. And the kind of unique sound what they have, flirting with blues music also. It is very, very much Solstafir. You really can't get more Solstafir like that. But it's also a little bit without surprises. I mean, basically it sounds like the band is repeating themselves in a nice way. For themselves, it's probably quite a different journey. I mean, for artist point of view, usually things are shaping up in a different way from what the audience is receiving. And for them, it might have been very, very ambitious project, a lot different compared to previous ones, but that doesn't really resonate me that well. Like I said, it's still a very, very good album, not just as good as the previous one. So will this be my album of the year? This time, I'm pretty sure that Solstafir won't be in my top 5. I must say that. But still, there is something which I feel kind of strongly connected with. Because everything here is... I don't want to use the word calculated because it sounds so brutal when you're talking about this kind of artistic visions. But it sounds kind of safe. And for some people it might be exactly the brilliant thing. It might be the thing like, that's why it is my album of the year. So take my words, as always, a little bit of grain and salt. For me it's not that mind-blowing, but still a strong album. Very enjoyable. For example, between this review and the one that I did in a written format a few weeks ago, I had a little bit of pause listening. And right away when I was listening this again, I was like, yeah, this is the only band that managed to sound like this. And that is really good. So definitely worth checking out unless you're allergic to the genre. But in case you didn't like the previous Solstafir ones, I really don't have any words why you should be checking out this one. Obviously, always question yourself, your own taste and all that stuff. Everybody knows or should know that it evolves over time and changes over time. And sometimes you might even find a band that you didn't like previously. You end up liking it a lot. So give it a chance, I would say. But like I said, if you're allergic to the band, there is nothing for you with this album. That being said, I hope you enjoy it.